Nerds and geeks back at it again. It is the legendary Nerd-O-Roundtable back with another edition of some super spoilerific we are gonna go deep into Supergirl. We got some Toy Story, Pluribus question mark, and everything else in between. Those who have been waiting for James Gunn's DC universe to kick off are going to have to wait a little longer. And I say that because they made a big deal of dropping Superman, and it was supposed to be the film that set the tone for things to come from the DC universe. You know, there were ties to Peacemaker show we all love. There were ties to Creature Commandos, some of the characters in Creature Commandos, which we still will see in live action, and we have seen with Rick Flag Sr. We know that Green Lantern is coming. We've seen the trailer for Green Lantern, and it tells a more mature, darker story. There's cussing galore in the trailer. So when we see Supergirl and we see the trailer and the style, you know, many thought it was going to give us a Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, you know, some space frolicking adventure. And this is a movie that is basically what happened after the end credit scene in Superman. We see a drunken Supergirl and she stumbles, gets her dog, and she leaves. And then we are treated to, 2 hours of her stumbling through the universe, drunk, adventuring. Her dog gets shot, which you saw in the trailer, and is poisoned. And for some reason or other, Crypto can't survive this. And she has to try to save her dog. And she goes on not even an adventure. She just goes on a mission to try to save her dog. She meets a little vengeful girl, the girl in the trailer, who wants revenge for these bad guys who none of us have ever heard from before or don't even know who they are, who murdered this girl's parents for some weird reason. Because it's like it's just weird the things they do. It's like, wait, what? I'm okay, got it. Sure. And that's what you do kind of throughout the film. You go, okay, sure, got it. Is it a bad movie? No. But the problem is, it's not a great movie. And that's what James Gunn and the DC universe need. They need a great thing. They need something for fans to latch onto, and not in a negative way that many of the incels have latched on to Supergirl and are masturbating in their basements with hate. They need something that is going to take this universe to the next level. And unfortunately, Supergirl just kind of plateaus. It plateaus. It doesn't go anywhere. It gives us some really good moments of Lobo. Lobo is a treat. But did it need to happen? I don't know. I just don't know. I really, really loved Tom's take on it. Tom's analysis of this film, I thought, was fair and brutal where need be, as far as really peeling back the layers of why something like this just isn't hitting the mark, you know. And Tom.
Yeah. I mean, look, when the MCU started with Iron Man captured lightning in a bottle, and Feige had a plan. He knew that Iron Man was good. He didn't know that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be embraced as he was and become the backbone of the entire MCU. But he did two things. One, he kicked off with an amazing movie with an amazingly charismatic star who was perfectly cast. And he previewed with a next look post-credit scene that Nick Fury, Black Nick Fury, was there. And Black Nick Fury was inviting Tony to lead the Avengers Initiative. So all of a sudden, everybody knew, oh, okay, so all of these movies are going to tie together. And you had the Hulk, who was kind of separated, except you get Thunderbolt Ross, you get Betty. But he wasn't really connected in any big way until Robert Downey Jr. has a drink with Thunderbolt in the bar. Talking, and they're drinking absinthe apparently, or at least melon balls. And then you get, I think it was Thor that was next. And you get Coulson, and you get Thor, and now you've got Jane is in here, and you've got the Asgardians in here. And so each of these movies was set up in a way to mimic a genre. So even if you didn't have an onboard into, there's this guy in this metal suit, you got into Buddy Cop because it was him and Rhodey. And he's a playboy billionaire who's funny. And so you kind of got this buddy cop, funny guy dynamic going on, which works. And then once you get into Thor, you've got the Lord of the Rings crowd because they're speaking with funny accents and they're fighting mythical beasts. And then they come down to Earth and they get to do some more stuff. And all of these movies, Captain America was a throwback, a classic World War II yarn. The guys who talk like this. And that was their entree into it. And each of these movies is building to the point where you get to Avengers, everybody comes together, and you've got all your pieces on the board. You introduced your 3 big superheroes, and you had the underpowered heroes, which made cameos in the other movies. And so by the time Iron Man 2 came out, you've got everybody who's going to be in the Avengers has been seen on screen, and then you drop the Avengers, and it all works. You have had a previous DCEU, which had $2 billion films in it. And so the audience has seen Superman. They've seen Batfleck, not as his own standalone, but in 3 movies. You've had a Wonder Woman solo movie. You had a second Wonder Woman movie. You had an Aquaman solo movie. You had a second Aquaman solo movie. And you had The Flash, which the less said about that, the better. And then you had Suicide Squad, which actually brought in a Joker into your universe. And then you also had these side projects like Joker and Joker Folie à Deux and The Batman and, then the Suicide Squad. It was never as cohesive as Marvel's vision, but it still did have billion-dollar hits. And then the Snyderverse, which was very passionately defended by some people, but hated by others, they decided to turn a page. And you go to James Gunn, whose The Suicide Squad did not do nearly the business of Suicide Squad, but he's funny and he likes goofy characters, and that works for us, and so fine. This is not the way to build a universe. This just wasn't a film that was necessary. And I think to your point, Tawala, it's not bad. But when you're spending $165 million plus another in promo and marketing, you have to have better than not bad.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have something that is moving the ball forward. If they had broken up this 8-issue comic book into a Warner Brothers, HBO Max series, like they did with Peacemaker. This was 8 episodes. This is 8 issues. So you could have turned it into a Peacemaker. And because the stakes are lower, it might have cost $165 million across all 8 episodes, maybe. But since Alcock only got $400,000 to be in the movie, and she was, absent Momoa, who was a cameo, she was the biggest star. Maybe it wouldn't have cost you $165 million to do 8 episodes of this story, especially if they were only 40-minute episodes or 22-minute episodes. And so now you got 4 hours to give us some of this Supergirl, do a little more character building of her.
Mm-hmm.
Because the point, how is she even drunk by the time she gets back to Earth? Even if she came from a red planet, she's out of the red planet's orbit and she's into a yellow sun orbit before she lands on Earth. And she comes from wherever she lands on Earth to get to the Fortress of Solitude. The alcohol should have been burned out of her system. The poison burned out of her system in 15 seconds. So how is the alcohol not burned out of her system? And she said she had to be on another planet with a red sun to even get drunk. And so there were just lots of problems with a character, that Supergirl is a thing. There were 5 seasons of the Supergirl show or whatever. So people are familiar with who Supergirl is, but they aren't familiar with this Supergirl because Melissa Benoist was never drunk on camera. She wasn't, she was a virtuous, like a female Superman. And now you've got this rebel chick, and fine. So give us a little more about why she was actually a rebel. We don't see her in Argo City cutting up. Now, granted, a whole lot of people were dying, so maybe you don't get as much a chance to do that. But the point is that we don't really understand enough about why she's angry. I thought it was fine. The Ruthie character is straight from the comic books. It gives her a sister to care about. It gives her a motivation besides Krypto, although she didn't ever really embrace the fact of the family. Krem, even in the comic book, is a shit villain. And so I guess he killed the family because he wanted the weapons, but the only weapon that seemed to be important was the weapon that she maintained possession of. And also,
which was weird.
It was weird. And how about this? When I watched Kill Bill, there was a whole segment of the movie establishing why a Hattori Hanzo sword was some good shit. So by the time she introduces the sword to the other killers, they're like, oh shit, that means something. I don't know anything about Ruthie's dad. He's a weapons master and he immediately gets killed. That's all I know. And then she has the sword, but the sword doesn't appear to do anything miraculous. Like the Hanzo
It's
sword,
just a sword.
It's just a sword, and a heavy sword for a little girl. And
so, well, it's supposed to be the steel is supposed to be special.
Right.
It didn't show us anything special. I know they said that, but
I'm just
if the sword had cut off a wing of a spaceship or something, or if the sword had killed it, she threw it and it ran through 3 people. Yes. When all we knew about the Hattori sword was when she battled Lucy Liu and sliced her ass with it. Nobody knew Lucy was dead until Lucy was dead. That's what we found out about that sword. And that sword was badass.
Supergirl couldn't really handle the first villain that tried to steal the sword from the little girl, like wielding it. I'm like, it didn't cut.
She was on the Red Sun planet, so
no. I'm talking about the sword, not her and her depowered self. I'm talking about the fact that she was using the sword, and I thought, like, okay, we're gonna see this sword cut through. And for those who didn't see it, she was fighting this big monstrous villain who had a hammer of some sort, and she was getting knocked around. I'm like, so the sword couldn't cut through. I mean, she stabbed that guy, but
it didn't do anything.
It didn't do anything.
And speaking of other swords, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, that was a badass sword.
Yeah.
Because what we find out is that it is impossibly light, but also can cut through anything.
Yep.
Well, they seem to want the sword. That's what made it even more bizarre. They seem to want the sword. People, the dad had a reputation.
But after he killed them,
we don't know
left.
anything.
I think that's the thing that was
and burned down the whole shit. We don't get an indication that he stole the whole cache of weapons, which is what he offered him. So that whole setup was just to say Krem is a dick.
Yeah.
And I posed a question.
And then
in the
why
chat.
leave the girl alive?
Well, that's the other part, because you needed the vengeance arc. That's the only reason. None of it makes sense. He killed her brother on a goof because the brother tried to scare his sister. He threw an axe in that motherfucker's back and then killed the dad and killed the mom first, then killed the dad out of pique, but doesn't kill the little girl and allows the girl to keep the sword. So I posed in the chat. Here's the other big problem with this movie. Who is Supergirl's arch-villain?
Supergirl is a character that has only basked in the light of Superman and other characters. This is a character that's never had a successful comic run because, Tom, to answer your question, she does not have an actual villain that we know of.
And in a movie, one thing you have to have in a superhero movie is a villain. And quite frankly, Krem, who supposedly has the power of 100 men, okay, so 100, let's just say they're Steve Rogers men. So 100 men lifting 500 pounds, Okay, that's 50,000 pounds, right? Against a Kryptonian.
Yeah, but
So as
even how
soon
he
as they got
died
to
was
Bilky,
stupid.
even though it was dark at Bilky, Bilky was a yellow sun planet because they told us it was a yellow sun planet. As soon as she got there, she should have folded them in a second. She's got super speed, she's got super strength, and her getting sucker punched or whatever the fuck it is that Krem did to her on that planet, what should not have been enough. She should have had enough time because she sat there and she looked at the people dead. They were dead. You knew they were dead. So why did you even spend the 2 seconds it took you to fly down there to look at their deadness? Even if, as fast as Superman is, and we've seen how fast Superman is in the DCEU, we haven't so much seen how fast Superman is in the DCU, in Gunn's thing. But she would have had enough time to snatch his ass off that hook and beat his ass on the way down to checking on the dead.
No, but wait a second. We do know how fast he is because I mean that is one of the I didn't like the Superman movie, but there was this
the speed in which he got from Antarctica to Metropolis, which is New York adjacent, was pretty damn fast. He got there in enough time to pick up on the fight.
Well, yeah, it was 3 or 4 minutes, and sure, that's fast. All I'm saying is that in Justice League, which was a crap movie, Superman was moving faster than the Flash.
Yeah.
He was aware of the Flash's movement and able to clock it. And at the end of that movie, after they beat Steppenwolf, he raced the Flash. And so that's how fast Cavalman was. We've never seen how fast Corrin Sweat is.
True.
Not to move like that. He spun people around real fast, but not to move like that. Because the Flash was demonstrated to be fast in the Flash movie, and Superman was keeping up with him. I digress. The whole point is that she doesn't have a villain.
Well, Tom, I have another issue. I want to add to your issue when it comes to that power when she should have knocked everyone out. Is it me, or why is it that the only time she used her X-ray vision is just to see the picture of her dog? Like, why?
She also looked for the brides after Ruthie told her the brides were in the ship. She did use it to see where they were, but it took her way too long to get them out, and she struggled with holding a tank, which was dumb. She could have gotten that whole cage of them people and flew them out in 5 seconds.
And but we never even get the
3 minutes of screen time.
The listening. Like, she's supposed to be able to hear something from so far away.
We caught a bit of that in Metropolis when he said your powers are going to kick in right about now, and then all of a sudden,
well, they showed her in the apartment where she had to tune it out. She used her Walkman headphones, by the way, which wouldn't have done shit. And listen, this was not a movie that was important, and by stacking 3 Kryptonian films at the start of Superman made money, but it wasn't universally embraced. It wasn't popular. And you've had Supergirl, which is a legitimate, by any measure, flop, and it's not going to get any better. Full disclosure, it's better than Disclosure Day, but it's still a horrible, horrible disappointment. And so now nobody's looking for it. I contend it would have been a much smarter move to have a Lobo movie and have him encounter Supergirl in space during this little thing, because Lobo as a bounty hunter going after Krem as one person, and you see him go after 5 or 6 bounties, or like what was that movie with Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx? Collateral. So like Collateral, if Lobo has to go on a Collateral mission killing 6 different space villains, and in one of those things he encounters Krem and Supergirl, then fine, that's a cool cameo, but Lobo's cool. Lobo's somebody that people
Lobo also fits James Gunn's directing style, his sense of humor. Lobo is who James Gunn is all about. Yeah.
You could have had the space dolphins, you could have had any number of random people that Lobo has to interact with. You could have had the Zarnian teacher who scared him, the last person he killed of his race. You could have done so much more, and doing the backstory on Lobo would have been interesting. Lobo is built to be cinematically interesting. His whole
Lobo
character
could have had a cameo with the Green Lanterns because he is
That's what I'm saying, because he's in space. All of these
that
things
could have been world building.
That would have expanded. The only reason we were off planet was because she can get drunk on a red sun planet, and then she never goes back to a red sun planet, except at the very end to save Crypto.
But you don't think that it's a bit weird to have an Aquaman movie that came out 3 years ago, and then now, oops, different character to lead another movie?
No.
This is
Chris Evans was the Human Torch.
Yeah, but
and then
no,
he became Captain America, and then they made him the Human Torch again.
But that was whack again. But that was a pun.
He was in 2 movies.
But I'm saying that was a pun.
Movies.
Yeah, but it was a pun when he became the Torch again, and it was to show. I don't know.
I get it.
I just think
people didn't care.
I think people wanted to see Jason Momoa as Lobo more than they wanted to see Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Agreed.
Well, but it was another $1 billion movie, though.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just think that my biggest gripe is the lack of continuity. When you had a Supergirl series and the whole origin story is now completely different. Now, granted, maybe people didn't see the Supergirl series. Maybe people don't read enough. I don't know. But I hate the fact that we have to every few years with DC rinse, forget everything and start anew. Forget everything and start. I
disagree. I disagree because to James Gunn's credit, he's not doing origin stories. So in that regard, Superman's origin was really neither here nor there because we get him like 5 years in, and Supergirl picks up right after the events of Superman with Corn Sweat. I think everyone has talked about just about anything I wanted to say, but I would just say this. The movie was very small in its ambitions. It didn't really want to tell a big story. And when you have a God tier level hero or heroine in this sense, then you need to have a story or stakes or circumstances consistent with that. And this movie didn't have it. We can talk about all the continuity issues or how did this happen or why did they depower her there? That to me is secondary. I mean, and I agree with everyone. It wasn't a bad movie. The action was fine. The flow was fine. It's just that it didn't go anywhere. And if I missed it, I wouldn't have felt I missed anything. It didn't build what James Gunn is trying to do. Big picture, no pun intended. It just didn't follow any of the rules, to your point, Tom, which made Marvel a success. And James Gunn coming out of that matrix, I'm going to say, should have known better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is a film that when you watch it on the big picture, I saw it in Dolby, and the whole time I kept thinking to myself, I could have watched this on TV. It looked like it was made for TV. The nothing about it screamed big screen, like every world they took us to. I'm like, this doesn't look like we're going anywhere. It doesn't look like we're in outer space or on some other world. There was nothing about it that made me feel like we were traveling anywhere. I'm like, I felt like we were going from one set to another. And I'm like, if that's what you're going to do, you could have put this shit on the Max app. Like I would have had more fun watching it and really a short form series. Now we wouldn't have needed 40 minutes to an hour of each episode. This story only had about 30 minutes, an
hour and 40 minutes.
Like it's not built. The story itself is not built for the big screen. And that is something that DC does suffer from, the fact that they do not have us outside of Wonder Woman. They do not have a single female character that stands on their own. Batgirl is only shines in the light of Batman. Wonder Woman is her own character, and if he was going to do a female-led film, he should have started with maybe he should have launched, if he's world building, really, you want to go somewhere else, if you're not going to do Green Lanterns next, he should have gone on and done the Themyscira series, which was supposed to be a world building event where we see Themyscira and we see the origins of Wonder Woman, and he wanted that to be a series. He could have gone with that. He should have done something that would have been shock and awe, casted someone that we were like, oh shit, that really embraced it. Does Homegirl, does she fill the role of Supergirl? Yeah. But there isn't a animated story, even the Superman Batman Apocalypse film, the animated film, which I'm just watching. Supergirl's character in it is cool, but it's not as cool as the Batman threatening to blow up all of Apocalypse, with doomsday weapons if he doesn't let the girl go. Shit like that was like, ooh, Batman is badass. James Gunn isn't tapping into the badassery that he has in his hands. And if he's gonna do quirky, weird things, then do quirky, weird things. Do Lobo, do some shit where we can say, this is a different universe. This is different from what Marvel gave us. But giving us Supergirl, it's like giving us Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel was not a big film. But by the time we got to Captain Marvel, we were, most folks were like, did we need to see that just so we could see the pager scene come to life?
But Tuala, Captain Marvel had two real problems. One, because she was introduced at the end, even though chronologically she was the first. But Captain Marvel, if Marvel had released that near the beginning, in and around the time of the first Iron Man, we would be saying the same thing. The character itself is not strong enough.
True.
To build that world, even though Captain Marvel was the first. Not the first, but I mean, in the Marvel universe, with the exception of Captain America. But you just didn't need her story, and I think we don't need Supergirl's story here. What little story there was.
No.
Yeah. I mean, the dealing with the pain and trauma of losing the planet, her parents, all that. I mean, that was fine, but it got lost in a film that couldn't find itself. The film couldn't find itself, and it was just it was tough. It was really tough.
But also, she actually grew up with her parents.
She has memories of Krypton.
She has memories of Krypton and her parents. Kal-El didn't even get that until he finds out 33 years later that his parents were actually fascistic assholes. So that's pretty awful. You think that your parents are one thing. You've been raised by very nice people who have the thickest, craziest Southern accents and no understanding of how a cell phone works I've ever seen on TV or on film, but they were nice people. She had a loving family, and then was sent off. And so, there was no Batman tragedy killing in some alleyway or something. It was like, babe, we're all dying. You don't have to die. Although I don't understand why she apparently was the only person who was not succumbing to kryptonite poisoning. Why would that come on people slowly? It's radiation. The whole planet is
out of convenience. Just thing of convenience.
It just didn't make any sense. Is the point. And you said something about Wonder Woman being the only female character in DC that isn't tethered to a man, and it made me look. And when you look for DC heroines, it's Wonder Woman first, Supergirl, and then Batgirl. And then in the second tier of people, you get Power Girl, who is Supergirl. Then you get Starfire, which, Starfire was kind of her own thing, but a teammate. Nobody ever ran out, aside from George Perez's pencils, to get a Starfire comic.
Right.
So she doesn't really count. And then you've got Big Barda. Okay, but Big Barda is really only Big Barda because of Darkseid, and then later Miracle Man when they got married. So there aren't, unlike Marvel, where you've got Storm, who, even though she was a team member, she definitely stands on her own. She is not beholden to anybody. She left Black Panther because she was so about that life. And you've got, even though Captain Marvel was she was Ms. Marvel before, she stands on her own as a powerhouse now. Captain Marvel didn't even live very long to do that. And you've got some other, Scarlet Witch. The most powerful female character in the MCU right now. next.
Black Widow, She-Hulk.
Yeah, Black Widow stands up. I mean, well, I don't know about She-Hulk, but
I mean, as a comic run, her popularity has maintained since her debut. Yeah.
So, but there are other characters that aren't just ciphers of a male counterpart, is the point.
Right. Yeah.
And they're female characters who can stand on their own. And in the universe, you had Hela as one of the scariest foes anybody ever faced in the MCU.
Right.
And you have not had a female antagonist. I mean, maybe Enchantress, but that movie was so horrible, that had that sort of scary power scale that, you know, could be a world dominating threat. And you had Wanda and Hela,
right?
Which is kind of crazy that you had those two people as significant folks who were threats on their own, just as individual people. So I say all that to say, a misstep. I didn't need to see this. I didn't need to see this now. And aside from David Corenswet saying, I really could have used you on that last mission as backup on that mission, you're setting up Supergirl to be completely superfluous.
Yeah.
You don't need two super people on any mission. You just don't.
I also saw it in 3D and I was highly disappointed. I mean, this movie had zero elements that were 3D. Maybe the dog getting shot at, but no. When the dog got shot at,
well, say if the pistol's in 3D, yo,
that would have been fun. It would have gave me something, but it was such a waste. It was such a waste. I was so thoroughly annoyed. And then to not have an after credit scene, I was like, what is this?
Which, okay, now, something about this film, it did strike me as odd. Its release and the rush to announce it and even to put it out, when you throw in the fact that I believe that James Gunn and Peter Safran or whatever, I always mispronounce his name. I believe that they saw the writing on the wall, and that while pressure to put something out, because there is a lot of unsurety with the fate of this new DC universe, because the individuals coming in to make this grand purchase of Warner Brothers are individuals who are largely and overwhelmingly tied to the Trump administration. And they are largely tied to a group of critics and a fan base that is not with they tore Superman down. I remember we were on Later with Mo Kelly. We were talking about how they were going after the film for things that is like, this is known. I mean, they were tearing down Superman for how's he saving the day and this, that, and the other. And they got a black man as all the crazy shit they were saying. I don't believe that James Gunn, who has been highly, highly critical of Trump, I don't think that he actually feels safe with making moves with the studio in the precarious place that it is right now. I know there was just news this past week or so that they met with the new the would-be owners of Warner Brothers, and they said, like, yes, we like what you guys are doing. Things are going great, and we're big fans of you know what we're seeing. Those are things that you tell someone that you're about to let go. Mo and I have been in this recent situation where we were about to do a Halloween party and this shit was going to be big. And every time we would ask about it, it's, oh yeah, you know what? Let's get back to you. But you know what? We love what you guys are doing. The show is great. Everything sounds good. But look, no real feedback, no real nothing. And we kept on going back to, okay, so that's great. Thank you. But what about the party? We'll get back to you. And I think that that's what James Gunn and his crew are feeling right now. They're feeling like, should we really be pushing this hard and putting our all into something that we don't know if it's going to be there? I mean, for God's sake, you're putting out your next film is Clayface. That's a huge departure. That is a DC Universe film. It is a horror film. They're like, it's a real horror film. Body horror and shock and awe and grotesque things. And I'm like, I don't know if they're really, really confident that they're going to have a future with this studio. I just don't think so. With the things that they want to do, you don't have basically a non-binary Supergirl in a company that, you know, is run by folks like, you know, the Ellisons, who are like, we don't believe in that. So, you know, I don't know.
There's nothing to be confident about. We talked about how Superman didn't bomb, but it didn't perform as well as they might have hoped. It wasn't beloved, like Tom was saying. And then you have a bomb in Supergirl. And that's the last movie before this supposed merger is going to go through. In other words, that's the last taste in your future boss's mouths of movie which is going to take a bath. I wouldn't feel confident either, but there's some other things here. Liz, I want to go back and get your point. Why did they use the origin or use the people in the TV show? That was the Berlanti universe, Greg Berlanti. None of that shit survived. None of that had ever crossed over to the big screen. We had talked about how Grant Gustin as the Flash would have been better than old dude as the Flash. But the TV universe never, ever intersected with the Snyderverse or anything in a cinematic sense.
And that was a loss.
Yeah.
I will say, if he's still out here talking about, please cast me as the Flash. Grant, he's still out here.
Yeah, I know.
But that ship is sailed.
He needs to go and let that go. He needs to let that go. But
well, he's not a sexual predator, so that.
But he will not be the next Flash. That much I'll tell you.
Yeah, they're trying to go slightly younger, or keep individuals in their 30s. And while Grant Gustin was a great Flash, I don't see individuals like that. I think the only people that James Gunn has openly said that he is still got on board from anything that has existed before him is he has latched on to Xolo Maridueña, who he felt was done dirty with Blue Beetle. He said he loves him as an actor, and he really loves the character, and he wants to do something special with that character. And he thinks that he deserves a shot to be brought over and to get it done right. Viola Davis, who he's like, I'm probably one of her biggest fans, and she will forever be Amanda Waller, so she's staying on. And John Cena's Peacemaker is the only other character that existed necessarily before he came on. He didn't even, that's why he was like, even bringing back Rick Flag, he was like, nah, I'm gonna kill Rick Flag. I want to do something with Rick Flag Sr., and I've got different ideas. So that's about all we're slated to see. But if you read any of the press on what's coming from DC, it's a lot of stuff that's in the works. I mean, look, San Diego Comic-Con's about to hit, and maybe they'll drop a whole lot of news. I know there's been some rumors and swirlings of an absolute Batman animated series and a new Joker anime series that they teased at what is it, FanCon or whatever the convention that just passed is, or is going on right now for all I know. So yeah, we'll see though, because I don't know if any of that's gonna happen, man. I doubt it. I just doubt it. I don't know. Did all y'all see Toy Story, the new one?
No,
I know.
Okay. Oh snap! Liz has got the monster popcorn. That's actually really dope. That's actually a really dope popcorn holder. I mean, that looks like it holds a lot.
Well, if you take the action figure out, then sure.
Oh snap! I don't have all that. I saw that at the theater. I was like, that's really, really dope. But it was hella expensive.
Sold out.
And then on the first night, you did get a card. A trade.
Oh, I did get the comic book. They got the first issue of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow.
I didn't get that.
Man, I know I didn't see that in IMAX. They were giving out if you got IMAX tickets. I had Dolby, and they're like, "Oh no, this is for IMAX."
Oh,
well, I got it anyway because Barbara at Topanga 12 is dope.
I like Toy Story.
Yeah, I think Toy Story is actually a sequel to Toy Story 2.
Ah.
Because Toy Story 2 was the introduction of Jessie, and the most emotional scene in Toy Story 2 was when Jessie was talking about the girl that abandoned her, Emily. And so they had that song, When Somebody Loved Me, and it was a beautiful little scene, and it kind of sets up the emotional arc of, Woody eventually saying, well, maybe it is better to be on a case where somebody loves you because the kids are just going to give us away. And then the big lesson we get at the end is that Andy has a sister, and so Jessie gets to become the sister's toy. And this movie kind of closes off Jessie's story. This is the first Toy Story movie that doesn't center the relationship with Woody and Buzz. It's her story, and Buzz is a part of that story, but not really. Although, as for people who have not seen it, in the very first scene, it's established that there are about 40 other Buzz Lightyears that were in a shipping container and end up somehow in this. Oh, they build a boat and they end up getting to the States. So, and they play an important part in the third act, which is cool. I thought that was a cool way to integrate and to necessitate their presence, because otherwise, kids don't play with cowboys anymore. So obviously the Buzz toy would be the toy that would get into mass production. And so they cleverly introduced an importance for them being mass produced in the third act, which was pretty cool. So this movie is the first Toy Story movie I can recall where they so clearly establish what the villain is supposed to be before you even.
Oh, that's fair.
And so it was like,
well, you think that the villain is the tablet.
Correct. And the tablet does do villainous things, but again, I don't want to spoil it. The movie's doing very well, so people are still going to go see it. Go see it with your kids. It's fine. It takes until the beginning of the third act for you to get the emotional gut punch. And there is an emotional gut punch. There's technically two, but they're all around the same moment. And that's what said, this is Jessie's story. This isn't anybody's story, but Jessie's story. And it's a very, very satisfying conclusion. And the other part of it is, so tablets bad is the overarching thing, and kids playing and kids being imaginative good, which is a perfectly fine message. Can't disagree with that at all. And the way they choose to tackle that is by introducing another protagonist who is lonely, like Bonnie is lonely, and Jessie decides it's her job to get these two kids together. And so that's kind of what it becomes the mission of the movie in the second act. And so it doesn't have like in Toy Story 3, I remember legitimately being terrified for the kids in the audience when they were in that big ass lava pit that was just stirring and all the toys were about to die. I was like, these kids are going to be so fucked up. There isn't anything like that in Toy Story 5. And it doesn't have the whimsy of Toy Story 4 because there weren't as big a stakes, but it was like passing the baton to Bonnie, basically was the whole point of Toy Story 4. And so we pick up in Toy Story 5 with Bonnie. But this does feel like this is it. I don't think there are stories to tell.
Oh, I think that there would be.
Toy Story 6 would be a lot. That's all.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you.
I didn't want to go see this because Toy Story 4 was a lot.
I'm gonna tell you the reason why is I have to think about this. I was a kid when Toy Story came out, and I have grown up with Toy Story. And since they took such a huge gap between 2 and 3, or what's the gap between 3 and 4? I think the gap is between 2 and 3.
Well, I think the bigger gap is between 3 and 4.
Okay. So when my kid went to see 4 because they were not alive when 3 took place. None of them were alive. So then it was 4. They began to kind of have like it's this kind of thing where they're growing up on the Bonnie stage. So it fits, and this is what I loved about Toy Story 5, because at first I was like, yo, I don't think this is a good Toy Story. But it flipped for me when it got to the point where, even though it starts off with technology being bad, but they get to the technology is not that bad. It's we have to use technology responsibly. There's a blend of technology and imaginative play. And then this is the thing that as a parent, the thing that I know that this is what kids have to go through, is how you make friends. I get that. But the thing that I feel as a parent, I hated to see is, especially when my daughter was little, was if people were not willing to be her friend. She didn't quite get the concept of people not knowing, like she didn't get the hint, the context clues that they don't like you. Yeah. And so watching the Bonnie kind of go through that, it was like choke. Like the notion that I just want to have a friend, especially when you're an only child. I just want to be a friend. I just need a person. And as a parent, you do have those conversations like, well, making a friend is important to them, especially at that age. It's the center of their world in making friends. So technology can open up the door in making all kinds of friends. And
what's interesting is now that you've opened that up, or you've introduced us to that theme in the film, now I understand why my daughter, who growing up had so much trouble making friends, like my daughter, she just has just a different vibe, and making friends was always really important to her, and it was just really tough. Like her brother, just everyone loves him. He goes anywhere, people gravitate to him, even that he works with me now and at the job, it's like everyone loves him. He's a good dude. And it's not that my daughter isn't a good person. It's just that, she's just, she grew up in an awkward duck, and making friends was always tough, because she came back and she was like, I don't think I could ever watch that film again. I was a wreck. That film punched me in my gut all the way throughout. And it's like, I didn't know what it was. I was like, it's Toy Story. I know, I get it. Toy Story 3, I was a wreck. I was Oprah crying in the damn theater.
I was ready to kick a kid's behind when I was like, don't you see my kid saying hi to you? Why can't you turn around and say hi? That's the least you can do. Like, I don't understand why you got to be that rude. And that's the thing that I loved about it. I was like, because you want your kid to have at least one friend. Yeah. And that's the beauty of, and then I'm telling too much, but when the thing that sucks about technology is that these little kids can be they're mean to each other, but they could be mean to each other on technology even more. And so then it's even worse, because then their emotions are kind of all over the place. And now I'm ready to, and it's funny because in the crowd, we're ready to go we're ready to go to this little kid's house. You did what? You said what? Let's drive. Wow. Mom, drive to this little kid's house and beat this little kid up. And show that mama what your little kid said on this text message. Screenshot.
I have actually been ready to do that. I've been ready to do that. Yeah. My son had a girlfriend at the time who, she saw a mean text message that this person that my daughter was trying to be friends with, this mean text message that she said, I'm going to show up to your school tomorrow and I'm going to beat that bitch up. And I'm like, I will pick you up after school and take you over there. That's how crazy I was about someone dissing my daughter. So maybe now I need to watch this damn film.
It's such a good movie.
Okay.
It is such a, when I say Tom is right. Like that, it's the last act for me that just sealed the movie. I said, oh my gosh, this is a great movie to sit with your kid and have a conversation with. After, I mean, it is a gut punch. I was in tears.
Wow. Okay, look, to me, the key about any Pixar film is if you watch a Pixar film and there were no tears, then to me it's not a Pixar film. I don't know what you were watching, and it's a flop without the tears.
This is a Pixar film, and what I will say is that because it's Jesse's story, if you got choked up in Toy Story 2, you will get choked up in Toy Story 5, because there's a completely unexpected moment that happens in the third act. It's at the top of the third act, careening into the climax. And Jessie makes a revelation. She uncovers something that is revealed to her. And it's literally like a, oh, damn. And,
oh, snap.
And then right after that, there's another like follow-up, oh, damn. It's not the same as the first one, because once the first one comes, you were like, I don't need another one of these. And then another one comes, and it's not as bad because you were ready. But yes, it definitely has heart. I agree with Liz. There were points in the movie where I was like, I mean, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with this. It's Toy Story. We're hitting some of the same beats. I was surprised that Keanu Reeves came back just to do his very little cameo role. They lost the James Bond dude as Mr. Pricklepants. He didn't come back. They had a different person. And of course, Ernest has passed, and so they had a different person for the dog. But Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, you had the piggy bank, you had the spork and his wife.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. But
he's to a knife. It's so cute.
Yeah, but the way they play the knife wife, and they lost the opportunity to say, I now pronounce you man and knife. They could have done that, and they did not. They did not do that. But they kind of imply that the knife wife is special needs. And they lean into it. Now, the fork character is a goofy character, but I'm saying the knife wife, no, she extra. So I guess to the point is that it is a fine movie and a fine closure. I'm just saying, to me, you haven't introduced any new toys that have the iconic nature of Woody, Buzz, now Jessie, and you know,
the crew.
So you would need, I just don't see that there are any more stories of these core characters or about children and toys. You've pretty much hit on all of the big themes. If there's a Toy Story movie that doesn't involve kids at all, then I think fine. But I think you're treading into Wreck-It Ralph territory if you keep trying to mine this this thing. It made a lot of money. It's at almost 600 million. It may get to $1 billion. I don't know if it will, but there's one of the things that I've respected most about Pixar is that they haven't just gone for cash grabs. You know, it took a long time to get Incredibles 2. It could have taken longer, and you didn't get A Bug's Life 2, although I think you got a TV series out of it maybe at some point. Yeah. But they don't just do it because you got Inside Out 2. And Inside Out 2 was a worthy successor to the first one. Thank God they didn't have a Bing Bong sequence in Inside Out 2. I don't think I could have handled that.
Nah, yeah.
But, you know, Pixar cares about what they put out, by and large.
That's fair.
And so when a story has run its course, they brought out 4 because they gave us a grown-up Andy, and it gave us grown-up Andy passing on his toys to Bonnie. And so that felt like a good place to end it. But then somebody said, what about Jesse's story? That was 4. Bonnie gets all the toys at the end of 4. And so somebody said, well, what about Jesse's story? And I agree. This is Jesse's story. They've never had a female lead as the focus of a Toy Story movie. And this did that. And it was just in the way that Supergirl was a girl power movie for your daughter, this was a very girl power movie. Any little girl who loves to play would see this movie and feel seen and affirmed. And you just know at the end of this movie that Bonnie and her new best friend, Black Rancher Girl, are going to be friends forever. And that's a very positive end result.
Okay.
I just don't know that I would want to see another.
I did like the fact, one last thing. I did like the fact that they made Woody bald.
Yes.
Like the concept, they want us to kind of really hit on the fact that these are old men. Buzz and Woody are old. There's an upgrade Buzz, and there is a balding Woody.
And the upgraded Buzz is an important part of plot.
Yeah, I was right. It was Toy Story 3 that they passed the torch to the little girl. But Toy Story 4 is when they get lost. The toys all get lost and they become ragged toys at the fair, and that's when we get Forky in kindergarten.
So, but where's Bonnie in number 4? Look, I didn't like
Bonnie,
number 4.
Bonnie is number 4.
Keegan and Pill were whacking it.
Well,
but
Bonnie,
I thought Bonnie
is
got the toys in the end.
No, yeah. she gets the toys in Toy Story 3 at the end when he wants to pack everything up because he's going off to college. Toy Story 4 is she's a kindergartner, her first day of kindergarten class. And then they take a road trip and they go into the fair and the toys are all lost at the fair and you got that bad baby.
Oh, that's right. They were on the motorhome. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then okay. Ugh. Yeah, that was trash.
I like Toy Story 4.
No, I've liked them all. I haven't been disappointed in any of the Toy Story stories. It was just terrifying to see them almost getting turned into magma soup, which I don't know if there is a junkyard that has a magma soup generator, but my God, it is terrifying.
Look, the thought of that happening, it made me never want to drive by a junkyard again.
Listen,
but because I'm like, is that what they do?
Terrifying.
I am super curious though, because I don't know what this is. What is Pluribus?
Trash.
What?
It's
just pure trash.
No, it's not pure trash. But by the time we get to episode 9, it was absolute trash. So the easy premise is, instead of a virus like in The Last Man on Earth that kills almost everybody, this is instructions from an alien civilization that tell you how to encode this RNA virus. And once the virus gets transmitted, it creates a hive mind. And so instead of zombies that are biting you to kill you, these zombies are kissing you or fiddling with your food or doing something to introduce the virus to you so that everybody on Earth gets the virus. Now, the upside is there's no war, there's no poverty, there's no personal possessions. Everybody's happy. Everybody likes each other. Everything's fine. There's no more conflict anymore. The entire population is organized around building the capacity to send this message to the next civilization.
Tom, that sounds a lot like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It seems kind
of, but it's not exactly, because the Body Snatcher aliens really were kind of like automatons. In this consciousness, you are aware. Like if one person, if you become aware of something, all of us on here are now aware of it. All of us have access to the memories of anybody in the hive, which means all of us have the skill set of anybody in the hive. A 12-year-old girl can fly a plane because there are million pilots in the hive mind. And so that knowledge is accessible to her. Anybody can do anything. Now, downside, out of the planetary population of 8 billion, 8 156 million people die from the virus. And then there are 13 people who are unaffected by the virus. So now you've got 7 billion people all on the same team and 11 people who are not on the team. And one of those 11 people is the angriest J.K. Rowling ever.
That part.
She sells all of these books. She absolutely hates her fans. She thinks they're dumb. She can't stand that this is the stuff that's selling. She tries to write some other stuff. Her wife is also kind of like a literary partner / manager / whatever. And the wife reads some of the stuff that Carol would like to be writing, and she doesn't like it. But she never tells Carol this because they're married and she loves her and she doesn't want to shit on her dreams. But once the wife gets the virus, the wife is one of the 856 million people who dies. And so before she died, all of her consciousness went into the hive mind. So everybody on the planet now knows everything that Carol's wife knew. But Carol doesn't like that because that was her wife. And so when they try to say, oh, do you know what Becky thought about? And she said, no, you don't get to do that. Nobody ever, her memories are off limits. Now, they have rules like Asimov robots have rules. Even though they're a hive mind, anybody who is not in the hive mind, they have to follow their instructions and make them happy, which doesn't make sense.
So they're not trying to kill the 11 people?
They are not.
No.
Because they not only are they not trying to kill the 11, they won't kill a plant. They won't kill an insect. They won't kill a piece of fruit. They're fruitarian. And if you do the math, so all previously gathered food stores are okay. Anything that has been canned already, anything that they did not personally have a hand in ending its life is okay. And milking cows, because cows still need to be milked. And animals are immune to the virus. Animals are not on the same team. It's basically just humans. Although the
they eat animals?
They do not.
No.
They don't eat. There's a big spoiler that comes about in episode 6, I think. So I don't want to get into, well, fuck it. They eat people though. If a person dies, they will reprocess that tissue as food. It's called human derived protein, HDP. And John Cena tells us about it. Well, the individual known as John Cena, because they're all a hive mind. They're like the Borg, except without the fascism. So
they're grinding up people. Are they making like people burgers, people steaks? I mean, is it?
No,
or
it's
just
a juice. They put in milk.
You're
cartons.
kidding.
No.
Look, this is not a show that I would highly advocate. There are better shows on Apple TV.
Well, and so the point is that it's an intriguing concept, and so you have the unhappiest woman on the planet with a planet full of happy people. But they play fast and loose with the rules. And there's this other person who is equally angry. He's in Paraguay. And he's just really dumb. They spend 20 minutes of an episode of him walking through the rainforest.
Oh, yeah.
Basically giving my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Except he says, my name is Olvero blah, blah, blah. I am not with them. I wish to save the world. It's the Inigo Montoya speech, and he just keeps saying it because he's practicing English because he speaks whatever they speak in Paraguay, and so I guess it's Spanish. It is Spanish.
It's Spanish.
So that's what he's practicing, walking from Paraguay to Albuquerque because he doesn't trust. He knows what has happened, but he doesn't trust anybody, and so he doesn't trust them enough. They say, Olivero, it's okay. We know you want to go to Albuquerque. We will fly you there. You can't just walk. This forest is dangerous. This pass, you can't do it. There's like these things on a tree, and they'll stab you, and you will die. But he says, fuck you, for some reason that makes no sense. And so
That's what I'm saying.
Eventually, he gets stabbed. They save him, and he wakes up in the emergency room, recovering from the stab. The poisonous darts, which basically drilled all into his back because he was dumb as hell. And he hijacks an ambulance. So he was airlifted to Panama. So he hijacks an ambulance with an IOU and drives the ambulance from Panama to Albuquerque. And
does he get infected after he's stabbed by the plant thing, or is he just
No?
So you're immune?
Trying to kill him because the plant is poisonous. You can get the virus from direct contact with another person who's infected, but they're all immune. So the only way they can get turned is if they get your stem cells, and then they can craft a specific virus just to you to overcome your natural immunity.
Okay, but
they're willing to devote all of these resources just to turn the last 11 people, but they won't turn you unless you explicitly give your consent.
Okay, is there a downside to being turned?
Well, you don't, strictly speaking, have your own personality anymore.
I mean, okay, but like
you're directed by the overall need of the hive. And so,
but if there's only 11 of you, right? After a while, aren't you gonna be like, why the fuck am I here anymore? What am I doing? I'm one of 11 people out of billions on this planet.
Yeah.
What's the point? Like this is the debate that Mo and I have had when I was really campaigning for awareness on the Zompok. And Mo finally, put it out there and said, but T, what are you going to do in a world where everyone else is a zombie? What's the point? What is the point of you not being a zombie if everyone else is?
You can get anything and everything you want. And so,
that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to see what the downside is.
Well, so here there are different ways to look at it. One of the people who is not turned is from a small Peruvian village. And her whole family, everybody in her community has turned. And she's the only one. And when they figured out the stem cell stuff, she decided she wanted to do it. And then she gets turned. And then the entire village just leaves. They were only there to make her feel comfortable. They were pretending like they loved her, because what they really wanted to do was create an environment where she felt it was fine to become a part of the collective, to join, is how they term it. And
then after she joined, did she leave with them?
Yes. Everybody just abandoned the whole thing because it's not useful. It's not a good use of resources to have people in isolation. It's better to concentrate people, according to the thing. So there is a family where the mom has a son. I get the impression that the Indian chick, I don't know if you agree with me, Liz, I get the impression that the Indian chick was ready to go. That if she had the chance, she would do it. But then there's this one dude, he's a French African pimp. And basically he says, I need you to take me to Vegas.
Yep.
And then I need you to give me 20 hot chicks. And because I asked them to have sex with me, they're going to have sex with me. And I'm going to have fun. And I'm going to eat, because he goes to Vegas, there's plenty of already killed food.
Yeah.
So he can get steaks. He can't get lobster so much. He can get frozen lobster, I guess. Just not fresh lobster, because they won't kill anything that's alive right now. Ever since the joining became worldwide, they won't kill anything. They won't cull wheat even, which brings up its own problem, because they say we're going to run out of, inside of 10 years, all of the food stores are going to be done, and there's not going to be enough fruitarian fruit and dead people to keep us alive. And so we've got about 10 years before Earth civilization ends, which is another thing which is crazy to me, because it's like the message came from light years away, which means it took millions of years to get here. And you're not going to last 10. Are you going to be able to create a signal booster even to send it to the next planet? That rule seems so dumb. And they make it extra dumb at the end because, and somewhere around episode 4, she says, well, would you give me an atom bomb? And it's a black guy she happens to be talking to. And he's like, do you want an atom bomb? She says, I'm not saying I do. I'm just saying, would you give it to me? And he says, well, we think we would, if you explain to us why you need it. And so, long story short, at the end of episode 9, because she kind of goes up and down. She's very, very against it. Then something happens and she becomes a little bit more cool with it because she realizes that she does need people. You know, she did love her wife. Yes, she needs a companion. She wants a companion. And she thought she would never find a companion. But because these people are so accommodating, her chaperone, she develops feelings for, and the chaperone ends up messing it up because the chaperone can't or won't lie. Again, I don't know why, because psychic harm is as much as physical harm. You could have just lied. But what ends up happening is that it causes her to stop embracing the joining, and she asks for an atom bomb, and the season ends with an atom bomb being delivered to her house.
Okay, I'll say this. At this age, right? If the joining jumped off right now, and my kids and my family, like all of y'all are all in the joining, and I find out there are like 11 people dispersed around. I'm at that age where I don't really want to make, like, say, new friends. I don't want to go and meet anybody. I don't want to go hang out with folks. I don't want to, go, let me go, cross country and go meet this guy because I want to have this non-joined conversation about what I hang out with this dude. I'm like, yo, you're an asshole. I don't want to hang out with you. I don't even feel like fucking like what you get down with, right? So there's only 11 of us. All my family and friends are in the joining. You all are all having this shared conversation. I like also, and now look, I do like to be left alone. Like, I like just leave me alone. I'm cool, right? But I think I'd rather just say, fuck it, man. I'm just gonna join the joining. I don't see why we're not all joining the joining.
Yeah, but the problem is you're the joining, you get to be of service to somebody. I'm not serving nobody.
If there's only 11 people left, if I'm in California and like the one free person is like, I don't know how many states over. Why do we in the joining have to go there? The people that are next to them, we can all link mine and say, hey, you all that are right there. If this person is in Kalamazoo, I'm in California. Why do I need to go? I can link with the people in Kalamazoo and we can all say, hey, Kalamazoo people, please them. We're good.
Not that type of show.
We're good.
So here's a couple of things. You keep using these singular pronouns. Once you're in the joining, there is no singular pronoun. So here's a scenario. You're not in the joining, but the three of us are in the joining. If you asked a question of Mo, as long as Mo knows the answer, if it's in Mo's memory, I can give you that answer because he's not Mo, I'm not Tom, I'm not Mo. We are the joining. So, yes, you can say, I need to communicate to Kalamazoo or just have da-da-da-da-da, but that's not how it works because you don't even have a will. You don't even have self-determination. You are aware of who you are. You are aware of the memories of your body, but you are no more Tawala than anybody else in the mind, anybody else in the hive mind. Basically,
so the joining isn't like a cult that we've all bought into. The joining is we've given up all free will
at the genetic level to become part of the hive.
That's kind of whack.
So to your point,
the whole show is whack.
Yeah, it's not great. And it's got a season 2.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's a lot of people talking about it. That's why I was curious, and it's on the run. So
if you haven't watched Three Body Problem, watch Three Body Problem instead. Three Body Problem is a better show.
That's the one that's on Netflix, right?
It's on Netflix.
Okay, yeah. I don't have the Apple TV, so I wouldn't be able to watch it anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of shows I haven't been able to talk about on this show, Teach You a Lesson is a great show. It's a K-drama about education, and like a lot of Korean dramas or romances or whatever, it has big, broad, impossible themes, but it is so satisfying. Anybody who has ever been in education or had a child in a school can enjoy Teach You a Lesson. And so I highly, highly recommend it. The lead actor has been called the Korean John Cena. He has a very John Cena square jaw kind of thing going on. And John Cena actually co-signed on it, which he really appreciated. The only part about him being the lead, of course, is that you can't see him.
Teach You. Okay. Quickly before we get out of here, because I'm looking for something else to watch. Because I do like the New Adventures of Superman, but it's not like, oh my God, I gotta watch it. And the new season of Vox Machina has just ended, so I need something new. So Teach You a Lesson. What you watching, Mo?
Well, I talked about this in the chat. I don't know if I said as much. I said I realized that The Last Airbender, Avatar, whatever they call it, on Netflix, the second season dropped. The first season I was kind of ambivalent. Seemed a little corny, seemed a little young, juvenile. But in my mind, I'm thinking Aang is young, so maybe as he ages, the show itself, like Stranger Things or what have you, will get a little more serious. Well, I got through 15 to 20 minutes of the first episode for season 2, and I quit. I'm one of the 4 people on the face of the earth who actually liked the movie M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender.
I loved it. I thought that was great. I do not know why people had a problem with it. I thought it was a really, really great adaptation of the animated series. I thought it was really going someplace. I thought, like, wow, that's probably, of his films that he's done, is one of my favorites because of how faithful I felt it was film-wise to the animated series. But that Netflix shit, I didn't like that at all, man. I didn't like that. I didn't even finish the season 1. I don't know how it ended. I know it ended as the story does, but they took so many liberties and did so many weird things and made so many weird decision choices in how they decided to tell the story. That threw me off. And then I'm like, you know what? This is a show that is actually written. It is specifically for kids. They are not trying to appeal to anyone who enjoyed watching the animated series. They're just like, let's just make a show for kids. And I tried to watch it, and I'm like, to me, it was right next to fart jokes, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this. This is not good. So I didn't finish season 1. And if you're saying season 2 has only got about 15 minutes, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, I can't do that to you as a friend. No. All
right, I pass. I pass on that. Shame on them for doing that. What you watching, Dr. Liz?
So Sugar is back on Apple TV, and I love Sugar, so that was pretty cool. It's a detective movie. I mean, TV series.
Who's in it?
Colin Farrell.
Oh, okay.
But he actually is an alien, so that was kind of like a twist. Anyway, I don't know if we needed that. But I know Tom made a comment in our chat. I am watching The Polygamist. I am almost done. I went out and bought the book because I was like,
wait, are you telling on yourself? What is this? What is this?
It's a Netflix series. It's a South African Netflix series.
When I tell you these people have lost their everlasting mind, I am on episode 19. I already know how it ended because I looked at other people's videos, but I am going to read the book because I know that if the show is crazy, and there are 22 episodes,
but they're only 30 minutes.
But they're only like 25 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. And you're going to be, and you know, you definitely are going to be kind of, if you decide to watch it, your mouth will drop, and it continues to drop. It is so ridiculous. By the way, as ridiculous as it is better than the Tyler Perry thing. And
the production values are very high.
Right? And so
this is a South African production that spent money.
You can do messy.
Yeah. And here's the thing. People talk about the acting. First of all, most of the dialogue is in Xhosa. And if you watch it in the original language, it's listed as Zulu on Netflix. If you watch it in that language, first of all, there's a lot of blending. So Kev on stage talked about this too, because he's watching The Polygamist. And he says in the middle of a sentence, they might start off saying, you don't need to tell it. And it's like they just slide all back and forth. And so there's a fair amount of English in it because they do that a lot. But it's better to listen and read because the voiceover voices are not as good. And there's something about watching Joyce, who's the main the main chick in the show.
She assumes she's the main chick.
Well, she's the wife at the beginning of the show. And because the way the show starts at a funeral. And he did. That's not a spoiler. That's literally the first shot of the show.
And she calls him a
motherfucker. And so
you're like,
it's getting off to a start. They coming in hot. And so she looks the wardrobe, except for his shirts are too big. And his head is little and his body is weird. Anyway, he don't look like he could be pulling what he's pulling, but the whole show is about her and what ends up happening. But there's also time jumps, so it's a little bit goofy. But I would say the acting is better than most Tyler Perry movies. The acting is fine. It's crazy in the way that Power is crazy. And you got all this stuff going on in Power. Like there was that big revelation that the boy was actually the son of whatever, Mary J. Blige's son.
Yeah.
So there's big black dramatic BS, but it's not poorly acted. You've got Joyce's mama is the sage old woman, like, girl, you sure this is still a marriage? Like, what's going on? So it's, I haven't been sucked into a binge. Like I've binged some shows, but I'm not turning it off.
And I think it's because I think it's because also they're in small chunks, and there's something that's so ridiculous out of every episode that you're like, okay, let me run.
Let's just keep going.
Like, what is this?
That's very smart because that's how Zola became a series of texts turning into a feature film starring Coleman Domingo. So smaller digestible chunks for nonsense is a really smart strategy, because I don't think if you had to watch 11 hours of this show, I don't think it would be as successful as watching 22 25-minute chunks of the show.
Well, okay. I tried to date a young lady who was into poly. She had I don't know what they call it, a harem. I don't know what she called it, but she wanted me to be down. I couldn't do it. I wasn't up for it.
What?
I wasn't up for the life.
I'm sorry. In this scenario, are you part of the harem or are you organizing the harem?
No, I was part of it. She wanted to add me to, I guess, her harem. She has.
So you were a concubine.
I guess I don't know what you
call
it.
How many people?
I don't know how many people. I knew about 2 people that were in it, and I just was very uncomfortable. I couldn't do it.
So that's what they call them now, a harem,
right?
A male harem.
I mean, I guess I don't know what I don't know what I was. I was part of the harem. Yeah, okay.
He was a Nerd-O-Roundtable.
It didn't.
That
in
is
theory,
wild.
When did she slip this in? Did she do it on the first date?
Metaphorically.
Yeah, this was off the top. This was off the top. Pause. this was
Did you say top or
in
tip?
the beginning. This is in the beginning.
No, I can imagine right now, Eartha Kitt, Twala. I'm interested in you joining my coterie.
I mean, it was. I can't remember what it was called. It was. She said
and
a
she had a
phrase
name
once.
for it.
Yeah, there is a name. I can't remember. It was something, and
Meat Market.
And I remember my response was, "Wait, you want me to be part of your harem?" And I think that was my response, is the way it was being explained. She was like, "Yeah," and it's like, you
So
know,
wait a
I mean,
second.
like,
It's
look,
all men and one woman.
yeah. Well, I don't know if she had women. I don't know if she was into women, but I know that there were two other dudes. And she said, you know, you don't gotta worry, like, they're cool. You ain't gotta worry about them and this, that, and the other. Just, you know, what we do is during our time is our time. And in the beginning, I was like, oh man, this sounds like a perfect, like, no strings attached type fun. And this, but it wasn't. I was very uncomfortable. It's just there was things I just was like,
Tawala. You're looking very sharp.
You think we didn't catch the fact that you actually considered it?
I did. I absolutely did.
So Mo, basically what he's telling us is that he was unwilling to be a part of the joining of the
Yes. They be sharing all types of shit.
All sorts of things.
Because I think maybe that's what was part of the
she don't make that sound when
turn off was the way she freely spoke about the rest of the harem, and it was not. I just was like, you know, it's like, you know what, I don't want to know these things. I don't want to know these things.
Oh, that's funny.
You know, like when you're told, like, see, when such and such kisses, they do it like this, and I don't really like that. So I want someone that can really kiss.
You actually, hold on, you got that far down to the conversation.
We got deep into the conversation.
That was the prelude.
Yeah,
she was talking about. He thought she was talking about an ex. She was trying to make you the Nets.
Yeah, very clearly, without any shame, without anything. You know, she was very.
But if you weren't a good kisser, then
I may have been talked about.
Disqualified.
No, because there were other good things that I brought to the table. You know, just like, you know.
So then there would be you would need to have another one.
You know what? And the way that it's broken down is like each person brings something really, really solid to the table. Like everyone makes up somebody. Like everyone makes up part of a perfect guy. So yeah, there was I thought I was down. And I was not down. I couldn't.
You wanna be down?
I could not. Oof, no, that was very uncomfortable.
Not Tawala.
Fantasy is always better than the reality.
Listen,
yeah.
Tawala being a himbo was not on my nerd bingo card.
No, it wasn't a himbo thing. It was,
you were negotiating.
You know, it was a different type of relationship. I said I wanted something unstructured.
It's polyandry.
Yeah, I mean, it lacked that conventional structure, and I thought, like, you know, I want something different. And that was a lot more different than I want. I was not
more different.
Down. I was not down. All right, and with that, there's plenty of shit coming out in July. We got off the top, what is it, Moana, followed by Spider-Man, and then Odyssey. And then X-Men 97 drops Wednesday. Not a fan, but I look forward to hearing what you guys think about it. I didn't plan on watching it because I did not like that first fucking season.
Oh my gosh, have you seen the popcorn bucket for the Odyssey? It is supposed to be
crazy.
So large.
At least what the images that are out there, I'm like, I don't know if they're real, but they were like that Trojan horse. I was like, that's crazy. I saw
someone holding it, and it is supposed to be. It is literally
brought that shit up.
No, we gotta
never. That is never.
It is like a half a person. It is so large.
I'm gonna send you a ball gag from Temu in a gimp suit.
Dr. Liz, please take us out. Okay, we're good.
Good night, everyone.
Mo Kelly. Jesus.
Just take your whole ass home.
Okay, look. Tom, okay. All right.
Where is my sister wives' suits?
I think brother wives.
It's only this ain't right. This ain't right. Okay, this ain't right. All right, Excelsior. All right, we're out. Okay. I've obviously said too much. Jesus.